You gotta just chill out, man.
Welcome to the Bro Scho. It is Tuesday night, and you know what time it is. And I'm Dave Schofield, and I look totally different tonight, I guess. Big Bro Scho.
Looking quite good there tonight, Dave. A lot more hair than I'm used to seeing.
More hair here, less hair on the chinny chin chin. Folks, my name is Brett Anthony Davis. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is the Bro Scho. Look, just like always, Dave Schofield goes on vacation with his family, much needed break, but he doesn't give up the reins. And we had to tell him, Dave, you deserve some time off.
Well, not just that bad. He called me the other day. Actually, I think before he called you, and he was like, "Hey." He's like, I'm trying to remember. He said, last time we went to Great Wolf Lodge in Williamsburg, he said, didn't I keep cutting in and out and we had issues with me staying on the Wi-Fi and I'd lose you and you were covering and this and that. And I was like, yes. He was like, are you okay if I just ask Bad if he'll just cover the show? I was like, absolutely, do it. Go on vacation. Enjoy your time. Don't worry about internet. I'm sure he's probably somewhere listening to the show currently.
Oh yeah, you know he's gonna show up on that side in the live chat because that's Dave. He doesn't like to be away too long, so we'll probably see him, and we might even ignore his comments in the side.
Yes, or make fun of him, one or the other.
Rich, it's been a long time since we've done a show together. I think the last time we did a show was a Q&A a couple years ago.
Yep. So.
And we always enjoy this time together. And you and I was telling Dave that we see the Steelers and the shape of the hypocycloids in a lot the same way, you and I. And we grew up around the same time with the Steelers. So I really enjoyed doing the show with you. So thanks for bringing me in. I can't be Dave, but I can be a little bit bad, and I'm glad to be here tonight. And mandatory minicamp, it started.
There's
a lot of news, and some that was expected, because you knew the man was coming in, and a man that stayed away brought even bigger headlines. Big Bro.
For me, when I really stop and think of it, I've never been so happy to be here. And really, if you think about it, we're talking about
practice.
We're talking about practice, okay? But when you hit minicamp, you're never so happy to just be talking about practice. Some stuff coming out of camp today. Yes, we had heard because he hadn't been at anything for OTAs. So the question was, would TJ Watt show up? TJ Watt was not there today. I wouldn't, it's one of those where I wouldn't make too much about this yet. There's some thoughts out there as to, why he's not there. There was some discussion, whose article was it I was reading today, where there was some discussion about it about that particular part afterwards. And believe it or not, I think it was Dave getting with somebody and talking about stuff. To which I was like, Dave, you're on vacation. Anyway. So I don't want to dwell on that too long, because to me, the bigger news is, because not only did we see him put on a Steelers jersey for the first time, he also took about 15 minutes and talked to the media, and that would be one Aaron Rodgers.
Do we have a middle name for Aaron Rodgers yet? Has anybody looked at it?
You know what? I don't know that we have. We need to. I mean,
usually you have to do something great, but that's a rookie that has to do something great to get it in Jeff and Dave's eyes. Me, I just like to throw out the middle name right away.
Charles,
Chucky, Aaron
Charles Rodgers.
ACR.
Yeah.
How about that? Aaron Chuck.
A Chuck.
A Chuck. A Chuck. Aaron Charles Rodgers, born December 2nd, 1983. And I know that
He's
because,
just a young pup.
well, my birthday's December 3rd.
Yeah,
So he was born in, did I say 82 or 83?
83.
He was born in, I said that, or is that true? Is it?
No, that's what it is. December
Okay, he was
2nd,
born-
83.
So my 12th, the day before my 12th birthday, Aaron Rodgers came into the mix, and they're calling him an old man. Woo.
Yeah.
That's hurting.
I will say this. So, they call him an old man, but speaking of old man, you most folks out there have heard me always say that on Tuesday nights the night I stop by my dad's house on my way home from work and see him. And, of course, he had the, let's see, what was on? WPXI was on out of Pittsburgh. So the news was on. They was showing some stuff at training camp, and I said to him, he was like, he said, I was watching today. Let me tell you what I thought about, what I was thinking when I saw clips of Aaron Rodgers. And I said, I want you to say it, Dad, because I'm wondering if I was thinking the same thing when I was watching them earlier today. And Dad said he was moving. Dad's word was peppy. He said he had some pep to him. And I said, yeah, I said there was some hop. What I noticed is there was some hop in his step when he was doing drills. And later when he was talking with the media after practice, he just seemed genuinely happy to be in Pittsburgh.
I felt like that, and I really did. And look, everybody is going to embrace him the same until he wins you over, because he's a polarizing figure. My gosh, nobody wanted him on Jeopardy. You just hear what you hear. You hear about the crazy stuff. You think he's a diva, but all I care about is what do the players and coaches think? And the players and coaches think a lot of how he is, and they're really glad to have him there. Now, I want to debunk something, because some clickbait sites are saying that there's one Steeler veteran that doesn't want him there, and it's Deshaun Elliott. And Deshaun Elliott came out a couple months ago and says, put your butt back in the retirement home. And, they're great friends. They're actually friends. There's like pictures of them that were found online. It was a joke. He was messing around. But then some people are throwing it out and trying to say, well, there's going to be some divisiveness here because Aaron Rodgers is, not wanted by at least this one Steeler. Come on, that's not happening. These guys want to play with a 4-time MVP. They know that it takes pressure off. Oh my gosh, it takes pressure off TJ Watt. It takes pressure off of Cam Hayward, because if he just goes out there and does the simple things, then you throw in that pep in the step. Because I saw it too. He was doing that drill where he was throwing the ball and doing a spin move and throwing another ball. I mean, he was just running around back there, and I was really impressed with what I saw. So with everything that he said he's gone through, which we really don't know everything, but you found out some information too, something else he went through in the offseason, Big Bro.
Yeah, if you had to be listening careful, because it really was kind of quick in there. But I will say Fox News did pick up on it, because they reported on their website, and that was, someone asked him, said, "Hey, we had noticed some pictures. You had a ring on your finger. Is that a wedding ring?" And he was like, "Yes, it was." They were like, "When did you get married?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've been married a couple months." So
Congratulations to the Rodgers.
So Aaron Rodgers got married. So now you can understand when you kept hearing he said he had some personal things to tend to and take care of. Getting married might really have been what he was talking about. Everybody, there was all kinds of speculation. Oh, what is it? Is he got to go have one of his dark retreats? Is he doing it? Maybe he just needed to get married and then talk with his new wife about, do I play another season or do I hang it up?
So. I think that's a part of it, but it is true that he does have some close friends and family members where he calls his inner circle that were having some health issues too, that he
Yes.
was helping them get through. So I kind of think it was all a part of the grand plan. And I kept on saying all along, and I'm not taking credit for this, but I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen so much that I bought the jersey in March. I've had that number 8 Rogers jersey since March, and I wore it out the other night on Saturday when he was officially signed. And I was at a graduation party. Then I was at a store. I actually walked into Walmart with it, and people were stopping me and like, so you fixed up a Pickett jersey, and I turned around and it was Rogers. And I said, no, I just anticipated this because of the way he was talking on the Pat McAfee show, the way that he was conversing every single week with Mike Tomlin, and the way that the Steelers approached the quarterback situation. Yeah. Everybody talked about how they were mishandling it. For me, it wasn't the fact that it was being mishandled. It was the fact that there was a wink and a smile and a handshake deal. Just give me some time to get this going. If you have to go in a different direction, I understand. Just give me the time I need. They figured that it was safe enough to give them the time they need.
Yeah. I would agree. And how that has worked out. And, in the end, and I think, again, can't remember. I read so many articles today that were Jeff or Dave. I can't remember who was who, but I think it might have been Dave again that was talking about, there were a lot of people out there that were like, oh, Justin Fields. Oh, we can't get Rodgers because he's going to cost too much and everything like that. You realize that even if Rodgers hits all his incentives on this deal, he will still cost less money this year than Justin Fields is costing the New York Jets.
That's true, but if he hits all of his incentives, he makes $19 million, but he also makes a whole lot more because everybody makes more because they won a Super Bowl. Because that would be one of the incentives.
Yes.
Am I saying it's going to happen? No, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I can say, and I'm going to ask you, I can honestly say that it's a whole lot more of a possibility than it was without him in town.
Yes. Everybody says, difference between him, Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph. I think if you look at it from a wins and losses standpoint, where the Steelers were going to end up with Rudolph was within a very small range. Okay, you were looking at probably 6 to 9 wins, in my opinion, with Mason Rudolph playing quarterback. Now, with Aaron Rodgers, that number could go up. But as you saw last year with the Jets, the number could also go down. So the potential is there for a wider range on both sides, both up and potentially down. Now, as a Steeler fan, I'm going to look at it and concentrate on the up. The only thing I'm going to do is understand that being in the under on that isn't out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I just feel very comfortable, and I believe Afton just said it in the live chat, and I fully believe this, that he's looking for legacy right now at this point. And that kind of gives you a whole lot more to prove. Just like after Brett Favre, and I know they're different guys, but longtime career with the Packers, spent maybe 2 seasons with the Jets, and then goes to a more historic franchise. And I consider the Vikings a historic franchise, even though they've never won a Super Bowl. I still find them historic. And just the fact that he came within a bad call of going to the Super Bowl and possibly winning it, because the Saints who beat them won that Super Bowl.
Yes.
Now, you still have, there's a lot of competition in the AFC. This still could be a top wild card team, or it could be a number 6 wild card team and playing on the road in the playoffs. But Aaron Rodgers has shown that he could win on the road in the playoffs and do different things like that too over the years. I love the fact that he's playing the NFC North, so he gets to play all those rivals again. He gets to play the Jets. So, I kind of feel that he's re-energized. And when your dad said peppy, I translate that into re-energized.
Yeah.
And he's coming to a place that loves football. There's different fans here. And the way he talked about the team and the fans today in the press conference, I felt even more comfortable with him being here. So that was a good press conference session. I think it was about 15 minutes addressing the media. And when you're addressing the media, you're addressing the fans. And you kind of felt like there was a gracious guy there. So I think we see personas, Rich, and we kind of think that it's one way, but it's not.
I can tell you the one thing I really got from that is just, and you hear it from a lot of players in the NFL, especially a lot of players that end up coming to the Steelers after playing for another team. A lot of guys come to the Steelers. They really like Mike Tomlin, and you could tell from Aaron Rodgers, he really has a healthy respect for Coach Tomlin and the way he goes about things. So I think that played a huge role in him coming to Pittsburgh.
You know what? I want to just mention something about that, because there's always going to be talk about Mike Tomlin. And, there's no in between on Mike Tomlin. You love him, you hate him. And there's no one that's just, he's okay. I can take him or leave him. There's just not. But how many players do you notice that leave in just an inferno, a blaze, and that they torch the place, and then all of a sudden, I think I'll come back, and or would do anything to come back? Le'Veon Bell's one of them. Le'Veon Bell is probably one of the biggest Steeler fans out there right now, and he talks glowingly about them and how he made a mistake, and I love that he owned that. And then you hear Antonio Brown wants to come back. So the bottom line of the thing, people leave. Like George Pickens is smashing the team right now. Justin Fields wasn't here long enough. He didn't really smash the team, but had a couple things to hint at here and there, being in a better situation. I'm fine with that. But there comes a point where they're like, that place wasn't that bad. The grass isn't always greener in Dallas. In fact, the grassy knoll definitely isn't greener in Dallas.
No.
So, Big Bro, I say we do this. I say we take a quick break.
Yep.
And
that's what we did last week. We took the break early so we could come back and get our top fives. Going and not have to interrupt them. So,
yeah, absolutely. So we'll do that. We'll come right back. Please stick around. This is the Bro Show with Dave Schofield on assignment. I'm Brian Davis. Big Bro is with us as always, and we'll be back right after this on the Steel Curtain Network.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax.
All right, we are back. It is the Bro Show. Dave Schofield, I like to say he's on assignment. No, his assignment is to get some rest and relaxation. One thing I will say this: the guy is a worker. Was your brother the kind of guy as a kid that worked like crazy around the house, or did he get that work ethic later?
Later. Later. I mean, come on. I had to share a room with him growing up, and when we were small and Mom would send us to our room to clean our room, that was called, "Hey, Dave, why don't you just go get out of the way? Because you're actually, getting more things out and messing up our room than cleaning it up. Let me take care of it." So, and he would own that. He would own that. he really started he really started to change when he hit high school. But so I saw it a little less because when he hit high school, I hit college. So, but that's what I was seeing him kind of transition. And the biggest thing with Dave is, which is why working here on Steel Curtain Network has been so great for him. When it's something Dave can get really passionate about, he's all in. And the one thing Dave is passionate about is the Steelers.
Absolutely. So basically, what you're trying to tell me, Rich, is that in high school, Dave had a breakout performance.
Yes. Yes, he did.
So let's segue. Breakout performance. Who this year is going to have a Dave Schofield like breakout performance?
All right. So you've got yours in order. Yes, I got mine ordered going 5-1. Okay.
I'm working on it.
Okay. So
I
get
lost
ordered.
my list.
That's okay.
I'll let you go first.
That's right. So that's all right. Dave does this to me all the time where I go first. He's like, good. He'll have his list. He said, but I didn't have them numbered yet. I'm going to start number 5 for me. I'm going to get real specific as I talk about this one. Breakout season here is going to be Joey Porter Jr. Now, you might think about that and say, whoa, what are you talking about breakout season? He's already had 2 really, really good seasons. In particular, you are going to see a breakout season from Joey Porter Jr. You're going to see a nice increase in interceptions. And I say that mainly because of having Darius Slay on the opposite side of him. The Steelers, I think their coverages are going to have the potential to change a little bit on the back end of things, which there will be some times instead of Joey Porter being on an island and rolling coverage to Dante Jackson like the Steelers would last year, you're going to see more that sometimes he's going to get some of that help over the top, and he's going to be able to take some more chances underneath and pick off some balls. I really expect to see a nice increase in the interception numbers from Joey Porter Jr. this year.
JPJ is not on my list, but I was considering him. I agree with you that, I consider a breakout also going to that next level, and he's absolutely looks like with big play Slay. I know we're not allowed to call him Darius. He says that. So with the Slay or big play in the house, I think you're absolutely correct. I think it helps Joey Porter Jr., and I love it. I think that's a good one. I'm going to go in a little bit different of a direction, and I could have went 2 ways at this position, but I'm going to go Roman Wilson. Now, I think it's going to breakout might be a little bit of a stretch, but will be an arrival. Let's put it that way. And I think to me, breakout is you get to stardom in that one big push. But I really think that he was in a situation last year, Rich, where he was hurt, and then he was hurt in training camp, and then he got labeled with it's hard to get on a moving train.
Yeah.
And then for me, I kind of feel like it took him a while to go ahead and get back into Mike Tomlin's favor. And there were other problems that they were trying to fix and get going with that wide receiver room that they just did not mix him in well. And it might have been, I think it was both sides. I think it was the Steelers not giving him the extended look that I thought he deserved when he was ready. And I think it was not ready for prime time. Some guys get red-shirted, and a red shirt is really important. So somebody mentioned, Big Pun mentions, 1 catch would be a breakout season. But yeah, it would. It would be like 100% improvement. But yeah, I think Roman Wilson takes that step where this is my question for you, Rich. If they don't make a move at wide receiver, with Roman Wilson here, is it a big deal?
I won't say that it's a a big deal. I think if they don't make another move at wide receiver, I think it caps the offense a little more than what I'd like to see it capped at. So
Okay.
I'd still like to see that move, but I don't think it's the end of the world if it doesn't. If we
I
don't
still
have it.
think it's going to happen. But do you feel it stunts his growth a little bit if they bring someone else in?
I don't know. It depends because it wouldn't necessarily, because see, right now I'm still looking at that room, and it also helps having Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback. With Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback, there's still going to be plenty of balls to go around.
And balls across the middle.
Yeah. And that's going to be a big thing. I considered Roman Wilson for my list. I left him off. You may see in a little bit, I may have gone the direction you thought about going.
Yep.
So, all right, if you're good, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my number 4.
Let's do it.
My number 4 was not even considered for my list until I listened to Aaron Rodgers.
Oh no,
Press
it's my
conference
number.
today.
I think it's my number 4 too. When you say that,
I don't know. We'll see. But my number 4 would be one Mount Washington.
it was the Mercedes Lewis comment, right?
Yeah, it was just the Mercedes Lewis comment. The fact that Rogers took a minute and called him out like that and said, "Hey, it's there." Now, some of this may have been Aaron Rodgers trying to kick a little butt into Washington, saying, "Hey, you've got this. You better get working on it because this is what you could be." But to hear Aaron Rodgers talk about, to have a guy that tall, that athletic, can block the snot out of guys, can run, can catch, can all the, just what a weapon, And so when he says that, that makes me believe that there will be times and places on the field where he's definitely going to look to take advantage of Washington being out there.
Yeah, he does love the tight ends.
He does.
I don't know-
Always has.
I don't know a Green Bay quarterback that doesn't love tight ends. There's been a lot of them over the years that have really taken advantage. I don't know. Does love it doesn't matter. That's going on a tangent. But my number 4 is Darnell Mount Washington, or Mount Washington.
Washington. You got to say it like you're from Pittsburgh. You got to put the R in
Washington.
there. Washington.
He was my number 4, and he, just like you, was not on my list.
Yeah.
But the fact that he could really, my gosh, Rodgers throws the ball over the middle. Everybody knows it. I've said it a couple times on this show. And if you can go ahead and get him in the middle of the field, what is going to happen when, and Arthur Smith loves it, but what's going to happen if he does get covered? Then you're opening things up for receivers. And you don't have to be a superstar receiver to catch the ball when you've got guys jumping on a big tight end. But Freiermuth and Mount Washington have an opportunity to catch a lot of balls this year.
I agree. First thing I thought of when the talk, before anything was even close, just the talk that Aaron Rodgers could potentially come to Pittsburgh. My one at the time, I was like, oh man, I don't know. It's like, well, the one bright side would be he's going to throw it to the tight ends.
And Arthur Smith wants to throw it to the tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, it's a perfect storm if you're a tight end here.
Yeah, I think it is as well. So this could be a big year for him, and he kind of needs one. We all know he can block the snot out of guys. We saw at times last year him catch some beautiful balls over the middle.
He doesn't drop it.
No, I just don't think we throw it to him enough, and I think that has a chance to change.
And the Steelers didn't throw to Freiermuth enough either.
No, and
but it's all going to change.
Yep.
And who doesn't love a tight end, says Blue Nose Steelhead.
That's right.
I agree with you. So let's go ahead. We're going to go, since we agree on that,
yeah,
we're moving through the list. Let's get to number 3.
All right, number 3 may be where I catch up your other one from number 5. My number 3 is Calvin Austin III. I'm guessing he was the other person you were considering.
Yeah.
Okay, and for me, this is another one where, okay, basically last year was Calvin Austin's first year. For the same reason this year is going to be Roman Wilson's first year. So we saw some flashes from Calvin Austin. Now add to the fact that you've got, again, Aaron Rodgers throwing to him, a guy that's not afraid to throw it over the middle. I could really see CA3 catching some slants and crossers and trying to get him into some open space with his speed. And he could really benefit from some of the changes that are coming about on the offense.
Absolutely. It's that's another perfect storm. I think that's my crutch phrase for the day. But it just feels like with a guy that knows how to throw over the middle, a guy who, look, we know what happens when you get older. You get the ball out quick. But who can get to a spot quicker than Calvin Austin? Not a lot of guys. So he wasn't thrown to enough last year, but he was also, how do I put this the right way? He was also playing out of position last year.
Yes.
They were putting him on go routes a lot. You know, they were trying to throw deep a whole lot more than they needed to with him.
Look, if Mount Washington's having his breakout year, okay, what could you do with Calvin Austin? Could you see the route where you line up and you run? You know, Washington's been hurting a team, and you run Washington up the seam, and then have CA3 coming through on a crosser underneath of that seam route and catching the ball with space. It's like, you know, it's one of the, you know, pick your poison. If you're going to worry about the crosser underneath, you got one-on-one coverage of a mismatch with Washington. And if you're worried about Washington, you let CA3 get the ball in space. Just that's the kind of stuff that, you know, I'd actually like to hear Coach KT Smith's thoughts on some things like that, because, you know, I think that there's just some real potential there to get guys to their strengths. And that's where I think we've missed out a little bit with Calvin Austin. We've not necessarily gotten him the ball to his strengths.
Yeah. So that sounds better than me saying he was playing out of position. But I actually feel like he was playing out of position as well when you don't go to his strengths. Yeah. They were trying to make him a number 2, and when they clearly didn't have one.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. Before we go to my number 3, I want to mention something. And I even had an opportunity to mention this to Calvin Austin III. I did an interview with him between his last season, before his second year. And I said to him, I'm like, I'm really disappointed in you wearing number 19. I thought the Steelers missed out. I thought you missed out on this. You should have had number 16. He said to me, why? And I said, Austin 3, 16 just ran by your bleep.
Yeah. Nice.
Austin 316 would have been perfect.
That's right.
All right. I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball here.
Okay.
I know you did earlier on with the Joey Porter Jr. I'm looking at a guy from the Joey Porter class, and it's not exactly the one that you probably think I'm going to go with. It's going to be simply Keanu Benton. I think Derek Harmon's presence is going to make him better. I think Derek Harmon's presence is going to free up some stuff for him, and you still have the influence of Cam Hayward. I think this is the strongest defensive line that they could possibly have. It's young, with the exception of Cam, but the other two, I mean, 2/3 of it, pretty darn young.
Dave and I talked. This is the best line since we had those couple of seasons where it was, you know, Tuitt, Hargrave, and Hayward.
Yeah.
You know, this one I said has got to be thought about like that one. with the possibility that it could actually be better. Just understand with Harmon that you are still talking a rookie.
Yeah.
That right now we don't need him to be. I think Dave and I hit this specifically. We don't need him to be Stephon Tuitt the last year Stephon Tuitt played for the Steelers. We just need him to be better than Stephon Tuitt's rookie season for the Steelers.
Yeah. Oh, and if you have that, then you have a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
Because Tuitt showed up right away, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he wasn't putting up the big numbers, but he was the. You
He had
saw him
signs of
early
growth.
on. Yeah, you saw him early on and said, "Oh, we got something here," and I think that's there. I also think you're right with Benton. I think you're right with the fact that having Harmon is going to actually make him better.
Now, I'm going to say something that not a lot of people, I have not heard a lot of people say this. I kind of feel like this is an original bad thought, but everybody talks about how a lot of people considered Troy Polamalu a bust in his first year.
Yeah.
He hardly got a chance to play. And that was kind of a staple of Dick LeBeau's defense, kind of letting all those defensive guys redshirt for a year and then bring them in the second year and let them go crazy. They did a redshirt. I mean, they still had a lot of special teams action. They did a lot of stuff, but there was some sincere worry. I think for the first 2 seasons of Cam Hayward's career, there was a lot of worry. And he didn't really start breaking through until year number 3.
Yeah. So which is why you're really thinking, this is year number 3 for Benton. That this we could really start to see something, and which is why I say we do have to, in terms of Harmon, cap our expectations. I don't expect to see Harmon come in and get, double-digit sacks his first year or something like that. But I do expect him to come in and be a disruptor, which if you really stop and think about it, was Keanu Benton his rookie season. It's what we always saw from him. Just, he wasn't necessarily the one making the tackles, but at times he was just blowing up the line. Well, I think he's going to get more of a chance to get back into that this year based on having some better linemen around him.
And I think that's exactly what happens with a guy. I mean, and some of those under the radar free agent signings, the kid from New England,
Yep.
Oluwake, and there was the guy I can't pronounce from Jacksonville. It goes I think I called Gee. With that, I think Harmon kind of helps things out. So let's go ahead to your number 2.
Okay, number 2. My number 2 is one of those names that I love to say. Probably one of my second or third most favorite Steelers ever to say. With the first one, I always think my favorite first Steeler name to say bad, I always think of when I'm on the show with you because you're bad. And that would be one Chris Fuamatu Bad Malafala. One bad Malafala. Okay, of course you had to love Troy Polamalu, and so now I'm going with Troy Fa'utanu. Okay, and you say, well, hey, we only got to see him for a game last year before he got hurt and everything. I think his breakout is because he comes. I'm going to call the year from him a breakout if he comes back and just solidifies a spot and, quote, Mike Tomlin, doesn't kill us.
Yeah.
If he comes back, starts every game, plays the entire season, doesn't have to be perfect, but is just really good to a season where we say that's going to be our guy going forward. To me, that's for him, only getting to play the one game last year, that would be the breakout for him. Just to be like, by midway through the season, we're just all, he's got it. He's locked it down. We are good to go. we're not going to have to worry about this position for a while. To me, that I just would love to see it.
Now, we've seen this a lot over the past couple of years with Corey Trice. We saw it with Calvin Austin III. I feel like the Steelers are getting 2 extra rookies this year because even though, and Calvin Austin said this, he's like, you got to remember, I was there the entire year. So it's not like I wasn't working out with the team. That wasn't like I wasn't at team meetings. I was there for all that stuff. Traveled with the team. I did this. Fautanu, same thing. So he looked good. And with that, you've got to think that you're bringing in Fautanu, you're bringing in Wilson. You're adding to that rookie class, though, but rookies with team experience. So you're getting the talent. You're adding more talent this year and also a full rookie class. So that's something you've got to be excited about. Just a little bit to know that you've got something. I feel like the Steelers and we as fans benefited when we saw the accelerated ascension of one Mason McCormick last year. I thought that was important. And then because that wasn't his trajectory.
Yeah.
He wasn't supposed to be starting that fast. He was supposed to get seasoned and then get mixed in. He was supposed to get redshirted. But when I say redshirted, you still get some experience, though. It's not like a true redshirt. And then Frazier, we just wanted out of Frazier the beginning of brilliance. And I think we got more out of it than we thought as fans. So with Fautanu, I think that's the same thing. You just want to see the start of something special. And I think that's what you're going to get out of Troy.
Yep.
And remember, since 1999, they've picked 3 Troys in the first round. You know the other one, right?
Hold on. No, darn, I'm missing the third one. Who am I missing?
You got Palomalu.
Yeah.
You've got Fautanu. You've
Right.
got Edwards.
Edwards. That's right. That's right.
So, lots of Troys.
Yep.
All right. So my number 2, left side, right side, left side. Broderick Jones. Now, this could be a controversial pick. A lot of people don't think that he has it. They're saying that he's just not the guy. KT Smith intimates that he is the guy, that he's playing his natural position, that by playing that position and with that bad arm last year, that he was flummoxed. We saw more brilliance out of him in his rookie year than his second year. I don't think he was right. I don't think he was exactly playing where they thought he'd be playing because they were going to have Troy there, and everything kind of got mixed up from the beginning. Now he's got a full off season of being that left tackle. I kind of feel like the Steelers mismanaged, and I don't complain that much about mismanaging situations, but I think with the whole Dan Moore situation, they had to have him in there. But I kind of feel like from the start, with Troy in training camp, and he didn't last long because he got hurt in that first preseason game against Houston. I just kind of feel that they didn't jerk him around, but they kind of weren't definitive with Broderick Jones. Now, I was supposed to mention earlier when I talked about Darnell Washington, he's coming 15 pounds lighter and looks svelte. He looks good.
Yep.
So does Broderick Jones.
Yeah, the two guys from Georgia coming in, dropped a little weight, both of them.
So to quote Kid Rock, in it to win it like Iserman, can drink about 15 Heinekens. I'm not born again, but if I was, okay. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
All right, so number 1.
Yeah, I didn't say a whole lot about Broderick Jones because
sorry,
number 1 for
I
me.
forgot about that.
Because number 1, no, that's okay. Because number 1 for me is Broderick Jones.
Nice.
And a lot of it has to do with seeing that he came in with a little less weight, What's funny is there's some stories out there saying that the Steelers were partly wanting him to have some of that extra weight on and stuff like that. And I think he's come in and just said, no, I need to play. I need to drop a few pounds to be able to play a little quicker. I also think, we talked that, Broderick Jones was good enough and athletic enough that he could play both tackle spots. And we talk about some guys just aren't made and just can't handle playing both. I think Broderick Jones is one of those guys that can play both, but I think he's much more comfortable on the left. I think especially another one that I'd like Coach Smith to look at some point in time. I think his handwork is better on the left side. Not just, some guys always say the footwork. I think his footwork has been okay. I think that he's not as comfortable using his hands when he's been on the right side as he is when he's on the left side. I think he's just better with them on the left. So I think we get him over on the left side. Like I said, drop a little bit of weight. Let's play quick. And, this being year 3, the same way you said for Benton, this being year 3 for Broderick Jones, this is a big year. This is where decisions will start to be made. For him in particular, being a first-round draft pick, this will be the year that decides, do we pick up the 5th-year option or not?
Yeah, I think that's really important. I really like that. Broderick Jones, he was my number 2, and so I'm not going to disagree with you for having him at number 1. Here's somebody, my number 1 wasn't on your list, and I'm kind of surprised, but maybe it's because a lot of people think he's already established. I don't think he's completely established yet, but I think Peyton Wilson is the guy right now to ascend to the top and be a poster boy for this team.
Do you know why I considered him? I really did. Okay. The only thing, wow, and it's been a long, long time since we've been able to say this bad. The only thing potentially keeping him from breaking out more than where he was last year is potentially the depth of the inside linebacking room.
Yeah, with Cole Holcomb back, that there is the potential that he could be lost in the shuffle, but I don't think so. I think they find a way to make that all work, and in the end, some rotation's fine, and some rotation actually helps a guy break out even more. You don't have to be, I'm not asking them to lead the league in tackles. I'm just asking them to make sure he's in there at the right times and to do his thing. And that's fine. Somebody said this years ago, and I think about it even more. Jack Lambert's probably not a 3-down player in the NFL these days. He's still a star, but you never substituted for Jack Splat back then. So, but you would substitute more. And it's not a bad thing to go ahead and have those guys rotate, keep them more fresh. And 3 great is better than 2 great.
Yeah.
Or 3 very, very good is better than 1 great and a good. So I really think that you have a great situation there. And Peyton Wilson, I think he has the biggest potential for that ascension.
I think it's also great the fact that, honestly, he was healthy and played every game last season, too. When the big question mark on him that he slid down in that draft was, would he be able to stay healthy? And he played last year and played a lot and was healthy and was good.
I think the NFL mismanaged that situation too, because he's like, look, I was more hurt in my freshman and sophomore season than I wasn't hurt. I played a lot in my junior and senior year. So I
know.
I feel like they made a mistake there, but that mistake is the gain of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's right. Help the Steelers, so that's all that matters.
All right. Am I supposed to set a timer here?
Yeah. Stick a 5-minute timer on this. We're going to go ahead and do, real quick though, you want to run down, just list them real quick what your 5 were?
All right. I had Roman Wilson, Darnell Washington, Keanu Benton, Broderick Jones, and number one, Peyton Wilson.
All right. I had JPJ, Mount Washington, Calvin Austin III, Troy Fautanu, and Broderick Jones. So those were each of our five. So all right. So our 5 minutes of non-Steeler talk is on me tonight. And bad. I came up with this last night, partly thinking of you. Okay.
Nice.
I think you're going to have fun with this one. So we're going to combine. Actually, Dave might be mad that he's not here for this one. Going to combine two things that are really I really love and are a lot of fun. We're going to combine music and movies. Okay. So I want you to think about a song that you hear that automatically makes you think of a movie. Okay. Now, not something that was necessarily specifically written for the movie. Like an example I'll say is like, I mean, not thinking about hearing the Star Wars, just, instrumental music and you think of Star Wars. I'm also thinking like you hear Will Smith's Men in Black, you're not thinking Men in Black. Okay. I'm thinking more like, I'll give you one of my favorite examples. Bad, when you now hear the song Bohemian Rhapsody and you get to that big guitar riff in the middle of the song, what do?
You bang your head.
You bang your head. Why do you bang your head?
Because of Wayne and Garth.
Because of Wayne and Garth and Wayne's World. Exactly. I cannot hear Bohemian Rhapsody and not think Wayne's World. So what are some songs that you hear that automatically make you think of movies?
All right. I am actually going to, this song, I'm going to go with The Power of Love. Now, and now that was the theme from Back to the Future, but they went to Huey Lewis, and I'm a big Huey Lewis fan. I've seen him 5 times in concert, got to meet him backstage. I swear he hit on my wife, but she was the youngest one in the room. And but anyways, with that, every time I hear that song, and it's one of my all-time favorites, but I just think of, oh no, I'm gonna be late for school. What, the clocks are 20 minutes ahead?
Yep.
I'm late for school. Bum, 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 bum. And not only that, but Marty's band, the Pinheads, were playing that song, a version of that song, a more rockin' version of that song. And Huey Lewis had the megaphone and said, "I'm sorry, son, you're just too darn loud."
Yep. And you know what else was cool about that one, though, is they went to Huey Lewis and initially wanted him to write another song for the movie. And then they heard Power of Love and said, no, we think this is a good one. Go with that one.
And then Back in Time worked a little bit better. Then he wrote Back in Time.
Yeah.
But that one just worked so much better. I kind of think I still feel like I missed the mark because I like your Wayne's World one a little bit better. But
no, we got some more we're going to go here, okay? There's another song that I hear that I just always think of a movie, okay? I cannot hear the song I Will Survive
The
by
Replacement.
Aaron Ross without seeing Shane Falco, Clifford Franklin, Nigel. Yeah. I can't do it without The Replacements. It's like every time I hear that song, it just, boom, there it is, The Replacements.
All right, I got to correct you if you don't mind.
Okay.
Gloria Gaynor went to number 1 with that song.
Yeah. Who did I say? Did I even
you
say
said
who
Diana
said?
Ross.
Oh, did I?
I'm not sure.
I might have, but you're right. It's Gloria Gaynor.
So let me throw this one out at you.
Okay.
And somebody put Danger Zone in there. Afton put
Of
Danger
course.
Zone in there.
Actually, you got a whole handful of songs that you can't listen to and think of Top Gun.
But I think of You Never Close Your Eyes Anymore. And that wasn't written for that song. You've Lost That Love and Feeling was not meant to be in that. It was not the big part of that movie that it was supposed to be.
Right. I got some others, and I got a couple of other real neat ones. Okay. So, when you hear the song Hypnotize by Biggie Smalls.
No clue.
I always think of the movie 10 Things I Hate About You, where she hops up on the table at the party and is dancing to Hypnotize by Biggie.
Well,
my wife, is probably the only song by Biggie she would ever know or recognize because of the movie.
see, for me, that's one of my daughter's favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
And to that, it's Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Nice.
Can't keep my eyes off
Oh, yeah.
of you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I hear that song. I immediately think of Heath Ledger, the late Heath Ledger. And so we went past. We're at 5:30.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to bring up one more because I got to bring up one more because it's actually one of my favorites. And actually, I'm going to bring this up and say, hold on. I lost it. Wrong one. There you go.
I like
J.
that.
Appetit says the heat is on Beverly Hills Cop. No. 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 You could, if you're going to think Beverly Hills Cop, the song that you will always think of Beverly Hills Cop is the Neutron Dance.
Neutron Dance
by the Pointer Sisters, with that crazy scene at the beginning with the tractor
Cigarettes.
trailer just barreling through cars. It's like even my father will hear that song and think of that scene from a movie, because my dad will still tell you that is one of his all-time favorite scenes from a movie.
Man, I am going to think of this all night now. Steelers Wheels, Stuck in the Middle with You. Yes, from Reservoir Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but another Tarantino movie that I think of is there's so many songs from Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
That you think of in that movie, but I think it's the Chuck Berry song when they're doing everybody. You Never Can Tell.
Never Can Tell. Yep.
So yeah,
Goes to show you never can tell.
Oh,
right,
man.
and that one's up there. Tarantino is actually one of those directors that has great with using music in his movies.
Yeah, they're another character. Music
Right.
is another character in a Tarantino movie.
Right, and just real quick because we got to get moving. Can you ever not hear the song "Mr. Blue Sky" by ELO and not see Baby Groot dancing while the fight is going on behind him at the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
That's true. I think of Southern Nights. There's like a big scene where a lot of them are getting attacked to Glenn Campbell's Southern Nights.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So again, you were just talking about some just directors and folks that just knew, and that's why we remember them, because they just knew how to use the songs correctly in the the
Forrest Gump
to accentuate. Yes, Forrest Gump is on the movie, had a gazillion of them. Yes.
Yeah. That really, when you and by the way, we talked about a couple we just talked about a couple songs from Back to the Future. We talked about a couple Tarantino songs, but when you have Back to the Future, that was Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis also did Forrest Gump. So those guys, they knew how to do it.
Yep. So, all right, that was fun. Dave's going to probably be mad that he missed that one because Dave loves music and movies. But,
yeah, that's gonna kill him. So I guess we have the one big question before we get out of here.
Yes, the big question, and Dave usually sits and types it in. I'm not even going to make you type it. We're not even going to have to type it in tonight because everybody's already heard our answers. So we're going to go ahead and put it out there. As soon as I'm done talking, you all may know what's coming. Hit enter, and that is, give us your person that you think is for the Steelers is going to have a breakout year this year. Who is your breakout black and gold player for 2025? So, no wait, not typing it because I don't have the ability to, and I'm not going to make Brian do it and put it out there. So, start throwing them.
We got a Bro Joe, Broderick Jones.
Yep, after 4 it says Broderick Jones. Anybody else is going to tell me who's breaking out? Oh, yep, I like this one. Mr. Woodside, Patrick Wilson, 41, PW 41. Brent House says Roman Wilson. John S. says Peyton Wilson. TD, Tom Dessenberger says Roman Wilson. Pittsburgh Toddy 86, Calvin Austin III. Tommy Meyer said, I said Peyton Wilson earlier. Yep, bring it. Yep, understand. I did notice there were people that were sharing their thoughts way earlier on some of these. Oh, interesting, because funny. Blue Nose Steelhead said he's going to cheat and put a tandem together, and he says Warren and Johnson, meaning the running back duo, the potential platooning system there.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Jay's upper teeth goes with Caleb Johnson. Kathy is going to say that since Afton is such a big-time Bro Joe fan, she's going to go ahead and agree and say Broderick Jones is going to have a breakout season.
All right. So that sounds pretty good. I think it's let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Yep. As we start to wrap up, if any others pop in here, we'll get them up real quick. Otherwise, we're going to start our wrap up. So,
all right. Rich, thanks so much for welcoming me in to the Bro Show. I really appreciate it. We'll call it the Bad Bro Show for the night. And I had a great time. And look, this show needs Dave Schofield. He'll be back next week. And you'll also hear Dave on the preview this week with Jeff Hartman and me. So, Rich, what can we find you doing this week?
All right. So, besides work, I am actually headed to Pittsburgh on Thursday. Myself and hashtag Pay Kyle are going to the U.S. Open on Thursday. Going to be up to see some golf.
First time at Oakmont?
Yes, will be our first time going to Oakmont. We are excited to go. We are leaving here at 3:30 a.m.
You should call Hartman and say I'll be a correspondent for you.
Yeah. No, I don't want to be a correspondent. I'm going to go watch golf. So going to be doing that. But of course, I'm going to be sitting there doing that. And while I'm in the grandstands where they have Wi-Fi, I'll be sitting there on my phone, keeping an eye on what's going on Steeler-wise while I'm there. Because, hey, it may just be right now,
we talking about practice.
And as Dave and I talk about, it may just be some football in shorts, but this is some real, what I want to say, it's really starting to take shape. And I have a feeling that when we finish mini camp this week, it may be the most excited I've been for several years to get to training camp, just because I don't want to say there's been a lot of change, but where the change has been is so good. I talked about how good the inside linebacker room is, maybe the best we've had in years. The outside linebacker room is even better than it's been, and it's been phenomenal. We talked about the defensive line. We talked about, the defensive backfield and where it's going to be. It's like there is a lot to do for the Steelers, but at the same time, there's a lot of work to be done. So the Steelers are hopefully going to be doing that work, and we're going to be covering it here at Steel Curtain Network. Can't wait.
I guess can't wait means we go, right?
Yeah, we go.
Okay, so I screwed that up. So
that's okay. We'll forgive you.
We got two words. We got two words for you.
You know what? We can't wait for the outro.